Okay, so our next video is based on what a sequential game and a simultaneous game is. So, pretty much self-explanatory है given the name itself. Sequential game में क्या होता है? Sequential game में क्या होता है कि it is a game where players take turns making decisions. पहले मैंने एक decision लिया, फिर सामने वाला एक decision लेगा. One player moves first, then the next player chooses after seeing. Okay, the keyword over here is मैं देख सामने वाला देखेगा कि मैंने क्या decision लिया, and based on that they will make a move because players know कि previous action क्या है सामने वाले का. They can go ahead and make the smarter choice. ठीक है, that is the entire crux of the sequential game. The people know, सामने वाले को पता है कि तुमने decision क्या लिया, उसके हिसाब से वो एक better decision, एक optimal decision ले सकता है. Okay. They are represented using a game tree which displays each move step by step. ठीक है, sequential games are basically represented using a game tree जिसके अंदर हर एक node पे we kind of represent each move. Then accordingly, what is simultaneous game? Simultaneous game में क्या होता है कि all players, me and the other player, are going to choose our actions on the same time. ठीक है, लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है रॉक पेपर सीजर्स में क्या होता है, हम दोनों साथ में सोचते हैं, लाइक at an instant we both come up, me and the other player will come up with like a move. राइट, रॉक पेपर सीजर्स में तुम लोग थोड़ी लाइक सामने वाले ने पेपर निकाला और फिर बाद में मैं वो देख के मैं सीजर निकालती हूँ. That is cheating, right? You try to cheat that way, but then in case the other person notices, you have to start again, right? If you're playing with a kid, तो हम तुम थोड़े एकदम अचानक से नोटिस करके कि वो क्या मूव लेने वाला है, you can come up with a better outcome and cheat, right? So like, but in a normal ideal rock paper scissors game, if you're playing with somebody of your own mental caliber, ठीक है, a person will obviously notice. If that person has some brain, he will obviously notice ये बंदा cheat कर रहा है, इसने मेरे बाद move निकाला. So basically to play it fairly, you will come up with your decision together. ठीक है, you will both come up at the same instance with the decision, and there should be no split second का difference in the outcome that you are coming up with. That is how a simultaneous game is. You are not going to come to know कि सामने वाला क्या decision निकाल रहा है. ठीक है, whatever result you get accordingly, you will get accordingly. ठीक है, players they will guess, they will predict, or they will assume what the other player might do. ठीक है, जैसे if you're playing rock paper scissors and तुम लोग को समझ में आ रहा है कि सामने वाला rock ही निकाल रहा है हमेशा, because in a way rock can kind of defeat most of the other things that are in the game, right? तो तुम लोग paper निकालोगे, right? Because the paper can defeat the rock. So like that. So simultaneous games are represented using a payoff matrix. Okay, what do simultaneous games do? They are represented using a payoff matrix, and sequential games are represented using a game tree. Okay, now next, what do we have? Next we have is what is the difference between sequential and simultaneous games. So basically उसके definition में ही काफ़ी ज़्यादा differences निकल जाते हैं. First of all, sequential game में player एक के बाद एक in a sequence, right? Sequence में क्या होता है, एक के बाद एक निकलता है. Simultaneous means together, they will move at the same time. Next point, players will know कि past action क्या था in a sequential game. Simultaneous game में rock paper scissors में पता चलता है क्या करना है, क्या कर रहा है सामने वाला, नहीं पता चलता, right? Now sequential game में decisions happen in a order. Sequence मतलब order. So basically they are going to happen in a order. Simultaneous game में there is no order. They happen together. Okay. Sequential game representation कैसे होता है? Game tree में होता है. राइट, गेम ट्री में होता है. साइमल्टेनियस गेम किस में होता है? पे ऑफ मैट्रिक्स में रिप्रेजेंट होता है. नाउ नेक्स्ट, प्लेयर कैन थिंक अहेड बेस्ड ऑन द अर्लियर मूव्स. तो तुम लोगों ने जो अर्लियर मूव कर लिया इन सीक्वेंशियल गेम, जो प्रीवियस मूव था उसके आगे तुम सोच सकते हो, राइट? मतलब मतलब like using backward induction is also a method. If you don't know it, that's completely fine. You don't have to explain it here. But if you do know it, you might understand how using backward induction you can like when you solve backward induction, it kind of makes sense कि like एक future response तुम निकाल सकते हो. Okay, then what is the strategic planning for uh, strategic planning for a simultaneous game? It involves predicting other people's choices और using reasonable probability. जैसे guess करते हैं, assume करते हैं, right? उस वैसे ही strategic planning, there is like yeah, all you can do is predict using guesses and predictions and assumptions. You don't have any kind of strategy here to like come up with सामने वाला क्या करने वाला है. Then you have examples, tic-tac-toe, especially chess. I think chess is like a more reasonable, more applicable game where you might be able to resonate with this. Then example over here is rock paper scissors that we went through. Then what happens in sequential games is that players observe. They can observe, right? क्या पहले आया था, क्या पहले आया. Can we do that in simultaneous games? No, we cannot. Then there is contingent strategies. Okay, now what does contingent strategies means? It means that it depends on the earlier moves. Kind of the same things being repeated in different ways, but like they make sensible, points, so you can write them. Fair possibility that you will be confused between them and you won't know कि earlier move कितने बार like even कितने बार repeat हुआ है. Or you might end up writing it one time, but don't do that क्योंकि काफी sensible points बन रहा है. So मतलब use that for your benefit. And then in simultaneous games एक फिक्स स्ट्रैटेजी होती है. ठीक है, फिक्स स्ट्रैटेजी मतलब डिसाइडेड इन एडवांस बिफोर सीइंग द अदर पर्सन्स चॉइस. ठीक है, तो फिक्स स्ट्रैटेजी. कंटेंजेंट मतलब डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हाट अदर पर्सन डिड आई विल डिसाइड माय ओन स्ट्रैटेजी. फिक्स स्ट्रैटेजी में हम पहले ही सोच के आते हैं कि हमें क्या करना है. ठीक है, लेकिन रॉक पेपर सीजर्स मैंने पहले ही सोच लिया, नहीं मैं रॉक ही निकालूंगा क्योंकि अंटिल द अदर पर्सन डज नॉट कम अप विद द पेपर वो मुझे हराएगा नहीं. चांसेस ज्यादा है कि वो सीजर्स निकालेगा, पेंसिल निकालेगा, राइट. Then what happens in a sequential game that is dynamic, है ना. Choices happen in stages. हर एक stage में एक choice निकलता है. And then मतलब simultaneous games में क्या होता है कि वो static होता है. ठीक है, एक one shot choice ही रहती है उसमें. And then the last point is that it depends on sequence and reaction. Sequential game किस पे depend करेगा? Sequence पे obviously एक order पे depend करेगा and it is part of a reaction, right? तुम react कर रहे हो सामने वाले के action पे, तो it depends on sequence and reactions, very obvious. And then जो हमारे simultaneous games है, एक mutual interdependence, right? Depend करता है mutual interdependence and strategic guessing. गेसिंग होती है एंड एक म्यूचुअल इंटरडिपेंडेंस होती है ऑन द सामने वाला का मूव. So that becomes your differentiation between strategic and simultaneous games and what they are.